Am I the asshole for thinking my wife post-cancer is leeching off me? Both late 20s, both have always worked full-time. Me in a high-paying job $150,000, wife in a lower-paying job $40,000. Finances have always been mixed, but then it was always easy. Without really trying we'd be able to save 2-3K per month. Wife was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. All cured, caught early, oncologist said she would still be able to work. Instead she quit on the spot and made us move to the other side of the country to be near her family. Since then, wife's recovered well, and instead of doing the job she was trained to do, she's decided she wants to work 2 days a week as a librarian. And even that was at my insistence to get back into work really. To be absolutely clear, medically she's been absolutely fine for 18 months. Our finances have taken a hit, and on top we are now paying more on rent than we used to and are paying private school fees for our kids. It all adds up. I've stopped buying any luxuries, but my wife refuses to adjust. She goes on overseas yoga holidays probably every 3 months. So many new clothes. I haven't bought any new clothes for myself in at least a year. She will however happily complain about how expensive our kids' lessons are, but then go to the shop and buy herself an expensive bottle of champagne to cheer herself up. I feel no better than an ATM to her, and I'm absolutely sick of it. When we were both working we had equal say in our finances. Whilst I earned multiples of her salary, we both put equal effort into our work and home life. It seemed to work fine. But she's chosen to work 2 days a week and earn about 9K a year now, and I can't stop thinking to myself she's choosing to sponge off me instead of going out and working. This morning I had a notification from my bank saying 500 had left our account to an individual. I asked, and when she denied knowledge I said okay, no problem, I'll call the bank and tell them it was a fraudulent purchase. She then confessed that she bought herself a customized leather jacket. I said to her I was sick of her spending habits, that she didn't earn anywhere near enough to afford that kind of thing. She told me, well, your salary can go on the bills, and then I would have enough money to buy that jacket. I said to her I wasn't her dad, her salary wasn't her pocket money, and that I expected her to contribute her own money to our bills. I never used to have a problem with her spending when we both worked equally hard. But I am really struggling not to be furious with her every time she makes a lavish purchase which only my salary and my continued effort, working full-time, could afford. I feel that if she wants to earn less than minimum wage then she should act like it when it comes to spending. I said this to her mother and I was told I was being an asshole. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. The headline had me going the other way. Your spouse has been through it, but so have you and the kids. Endangering your financial security present and future won't fix whatever trauma is roiling under the surface. Get thee, and she, to a counselor. Tell her she has to go into therapy. I think that her cancer diagnosis brought the inevitability of her demise to the forefront. She is overcompensating with all the things you say she is doing. She can't live like this. Good luck. Not the asshole. THEOAPY. She is living as if being on the other side of cancer is like a fantasy lottery land, and while that would be beautiful if it were true, it just isn't. Especially at your age, because if not nipped, it will be decades of frivolous spending and also not building a foundation to grow for your retirement. She replaced the fear of treatment with YOLO and has a mental latch that it's justified. Ask her to budget based on your household income and expenditures, but demand to go to therapy or you might have to split. Not the asshole. She is overspending. You need to have wages paid into a separate account and only put money for bills into the joint account, but tell her if she spends anything from in there then she needs to replace it, as you won't be, and if bills get missed it's on her to sort it. Not the asshole. This isn't fair to you. Either she needs to work full-time or adjust her spending. I doubt she will though. I would personally look at what a divorce would cost. Life is too short to live it as a human ATM. Not the asshole. I'm also going to call for therapy. I'm guessing confronting her mortality gave her kind of a life crisis and she's filling it with trips, yoga, lavish purchases. My BFF was diagnosed with cancer and her personality changed 180. It changes how you see life and how you live. That said, she's living way beyond her means and she's not contributing to the family in a fair way. It sounds like you were always understanding and generous with your higher income, but there does come a limit. Not the asshole cut her access off to your money. Open a new account and transfer your direct deposit into it. Tell her if she doesn't change you're getting a divorce. Tell her you're done with her behavior. Not the asshole. My advice is send her for therapy and stop being her human ATM. Tell her she needs to work full-time or cut down on her spending. She's making $9,000 a year and she's still spending so lavishly. Just like cancer, you have to stop her before it gets too serious and becomes a habit she can't change. Not the asshole. You've had the initial conversation. Now set a budget. If your wife wants to be a stay-at-home mother, with a part-time job, have that discussion. Her salary should go to groceries and the kids' ancillary expenses, clothes, school supplies etc. Close down or remove your name from joint accounts. Have a bills and rent account, school fees account and a separate spend account. Have your salary paid into another account. Then portion the rest across to the other pots. Have a budget meeting once a month. If your wife wants solo yoga trips, she can save up from her income. Not the asshole. As someone who had cancer in her 30s, I get the overwhelming desire to live life to the fullest. However, you don't have to financially ruin the ones around you to do it. Did she have chemo? Because there's a thing called chemo brain, and it's real. It makes it very difficult to think, and it can last a couple of years. I have friends who've had cancer and talked about how frustrating it is, how difficult it makes normal life. Just a possibility, if she had chemo. If your wife is complaining that spending on children is too high to validate her spending when children should always have priority costs, there's something very wrong. Have you checked who the individual is? Are you sure something else isn't going on behind your back with the multiple holidays, increased free time and expensive spending? Not the asshole, but if she wants to play those games until she gets any form of help, I would advise to open a separate bank account and deposit your funds into, and she would not have access. Her actions are only getting worse and are clearly being defended by her family, and you have children to think about. Not the asshole. I'm a cancer survivor too. Stage 4, diagnosed when I was 26. In my 30s now and work full-time. Married with 3 children. She needs to contribute reasonably to the marriage. And there is no excuse for an entitled attitude. It sounds like you are already re-evaluating your relationship. Which is a good thing to be doing, IMO. Therapy near death changes people. It screws some of them right up. You might not be able to save this marriage with communication and therapy, but it is worth an effort. Absolutely not the asshole. It's time to get back to being an adult and contributing. Info: what does she do with the other 3 weekdays? Does she do the majority of or all of the childcare? Household duties? Take her off the money accounts, cancel the cards. But I can understand her side. Cancer learned her that life could be over at any time and nothing really matters. She should get therapy and try to find a way for her to have a stable life after cancer. But I think you need to realize that you will never get the pre-cancer life back. The person doesn't exist anymore. Dude, she's using the guilt of her cancer to manipulate you. This is about you two being financially incompatible. But much more so is that she doesn't respect you. Your marriage is done, man. Cut your losses. Overseas yoga holidays. On your salary. No offense, but you can't afford that. Not the asshole. You were there for and supportive of your wife while she was fighting cancer. She's not fighting any illness anymore. She does not get free right to spend you into the poorhouse. not the asshole. Time to have that talk about being partners and how we're going to grow old together, living life joyously or struggling month to month just to keep a roof over our head. I'm in a similar situation. My husband and I have been married for 16 years, a couple for 24 years. My husband was laid off from his job around the same time I inherited a substantial amount of money from my father's estate approximate 6 years ago. He hasn't worked or even looked for a job since. He contributes nothing to the household while I pay for everything. In my eyes, he's become a dependent, not a partner. So even though our situations are a bit different, I can relate to your feelings and believe they are justified.